You have one life to live, and life is short. You have only today. Live each day as if it might be your last. Make it count. Carpe diem. These cliches are thrown around a lot in our culture. Sometimes they're helpful, giving people the encouragement they need to live life to its fullest and to appreciate the time that they have. But for me, these words alone are not very deeply meaningful. Mary Oliver, in her poem, The Fourth Sign of the Zodiac, writes, "You could live 100 years. It's happened. Or not. I'm speaking from the fortunate platform of many years, none of which I think I ever wasted. Do you need a prod? Do you need a little darkness to get you going? Let me be as urgent as a knife, then, and remind you of Keats. So single of purpose and thinking for a while, he had a lifetime." John Keats, the famous English poet, died of tuberculosis at the age of 25. These days, when one day is like the last, which is like the next day, and the next, and the next, and the news is not good, and not a lot is changing, I need poems like A Maxim by Carl Dennis. This poem gives me hope. It is that prod, urgent as a knife, that moves me. It suggests that I might even be so bold as to make plans, like purchasing a ticket for a concert months away, expecting that I'll be able to go, and that someone would love to join me. I did this at the beginning of the pandemic. When the airfare plummeted, I bought tickets to fly to the Northeast at the end of June to see family and to say goodbye to our beloved family home. I made plans and I stayed hopeful. But then in May, I finally resigned myself to the disappointing reality that the trip was a no-go, and so I canceled. And now there are no getaways in sight. Today is like yesterday, which is like tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And here, in the middle of our summer series on poetry, we have this, A Maxim by Carl Dennis, a reflection on Marcus Aurelius's maxim to live each day as if it might be the last. Aurelius was a Stoic philosopher who embraced the ideals of reason, duty, and respect for others. In the last 20 years of his life, he became the Roman emperor. During his reign, he recorded his thoughts and philosophy on living a worthy life in the midst of tragedy, conflict, and pain, in a journal now known as the Meditations. Many of these thoughts are written in the form of maxims, like his famous one, live each day as if it might be the last. Even when Aurelius was an old man, he continued to learn and grow. While out one day, he met a friend of his who asked where he was going. Aurelius responded, "It is good even for an old man to learn. I am now on my way to Sextus the philosopher to learn what I do not yet know." Aurelius knew that there was always more truth and knowledge for us to discover and learn, and that we are never too old. Yet, as the poet points out, if you take Aurelius's maxim literally, the result is quite the opposite of how he himself lived his last years. Literalism can lead to a life dominated by tinkering with your will, getting your finances in order, neglecting your physical surroundings, and saying your goodbyes, only to find that you are still here and that you have become that heavy step on the porch that your loved ones hide from. If you take it literally, you might abandon the possibility that life may continue beyond today. In Crossing the Unknown Sea, the writer and poet David White tells a story from his 20s when he lived and worked as a naturalist in the Galapagos Islands. Espanola Island, also known as Hood Island, is the nesting place of the waved albatross, a bird with an 8-foot wingspan who can fly continuously in the air for days or weeks at a time. If you want an image of tireless, effortless work, says White, it would be this white creature, yellow-beaked, skimming the surfaces of the Southern Ocean, plucking fish from the crests of waves, alive to the enormous sway and swing of the fluid medium racing beneath it. Every March, the waved albatross congregate on the cliff top, engage in a mating dance involving clashing of beaks, and then lay their eggs. White says there is a raffish edge to the albatross, a kind of devil-may-care involvement at the edge of things that is both amusing and breathtaking. It reaches its climax when the young come to fly. Though the albatross moves effortlessly through the air while flying, it has a very hard time actually launching because of its size and weight. Their coming-of-age ritual, you might call it, is to throw themselves over the edge of the huge cliff, their one chance to learn to fly. It was heart-stopping, White says, to watch these rotund birds stagger toward that abyss, slowly pick up speed, and then suddenly stop themselves at the edge, practicing for the fateful launch. I would see them day after day lumbering back away from the cliff, their heads swaying purposefully and distinctively from side to side. Some inner evolutionary conviction pushing them into this all-or-nothing leap. White remembers looking down from that cliff one very calm, still day to find that all along the rocks at the bottom of the cliff lay the bodies of young albatross, who had on that day responded to some inner urgency to try at last. Without the help of the wind, they were not able to launch into flight. A very few had made it and were floating out on the waves. Only they would have the chance to live and grow old and to pass this ritual on to the next generation. White describes it as a fierce but exhilarating sight, one that would make me nevertheless question God's way of going about things. He says you had to ask yourself, what equivalent urgencies informed our own human world? This story, both devastating and hopeful, shows that the urgency of living embodied by the albatross can either lead to death or it can lead to flight. This is true for us humans too. When you are prodded to wake up to your mortality and the relative brevity of this one human life, it inspires a sense of urgency. This urgency can be a fast trajectory toward death, or it can be the urgent as a knife prod to flight. Aurelius's Maxim has a sense of urgency to it. We must spend this day wrapping things up, setting everything right and saying goodbye. But then, what if it's not our last? How do we live knowing that one day we will die, that any day we might? The Unitarian Universalist minister Forrest Church, who died of esophageal cancer in 2009, famously said that religion is our human response to the dual reality of being alive and having to die. His successor as senior minister at All Souls Unitarian Church in New York City, the Reverend Galen Gingrich, wrote, "Faith is a commitment to live as if certain things are true, and thereby help to make them so. Faith is a commitment to live as if life is a wondrous mystery, as if life is good, as if love is divine, as if we are responsible for the well-being of those around us. Faith is a leap of the moral imagination that connects the world as it is to the world as it might become." Let us be people of faith in the sense that Gingrich describes, so that when we are gone, we will leave behind some evidence of that faith. There is no shame in leaving behind some evidence you were hoping to live beyond the moment, writes Carl Dennis. If we are living as people of faith, we leave behind not just our papers in order, but evidence of life well lived, evidence of care for those who outlive us, and evidence of faith that life is good and love is divine. Living each day as if it might be our last is about our legacy, a legacy of love and faith rather than fatalism. So let's live a life not with an urgency toward death, because then we are likely to neglect or overlook the opportunities for deepening the relationships in our lives. Our friendships, our communities, and our church do not fare well in this scenario. Rather, let us live a life with an urgency toward flight. Knowing that we are mortal, let us not race to the end, but rather take a delightful flight through this world, savoring all the good in it and experiencing its fullness. Like the poet imagines doing months away at a concert, let us catch each note, savoring the beauty of the experience. Let us tend to what is important, the home that shelters us, the relationships that nourish and sustain us, the ways we can give of ourselves in meaningful ways, hoping and expecting that we will enjoy these for many years to come. A member of our church, Lou Gaston, shared a poem that she wrote after last Sunday's worship about how she is rethinking the time that she has left in this life. With her permission, I share Lou's words with you. When my doctor told me that I had lung cancer, I got very busy making plans for the future. Not the long future, the near and short future. Lists, filing, quicken catch-up, straighten drawers, more lists. Pack suitcase for hospital, water plants, lists of lists, whom to call and when. No time for tears. Busy, very busy. Stop. It's Sunday. Take a break and live stream church. Quartet music grabbed my heart and squeezed tears from my eyes. First tears in a long time. Hymn number 6, just as long as I have breath. Breath, lung cancer, breath. Can't sing, can't see the words, I'm sobbing. I must answer yes to life. I must answer yes to love. If they say what I did best, tell them I said yes to love. Breath, lung cancer, breath, sobbing softens. I say, love is the doctrine of our church. Daniel asks, have you eaten stars? It's a crazy preacher question. Of course I haven't. I've been busy. I'm still busy. When would I be hungry for the stars? But what if I died from lung cancer and stellar malnutrition? Lists must wait. Please pass the stars. I need to feel feed the heavenly hunger. This heavenly hunger that Lou describes is our human form of the urgency of living we saw among the albatross. Life demands that the albatross take a risk of launching off the cliff so that they might have a chance at flight and a full, long life on the sea. Life demands of us that we say yes to life and love. Rather than making plans and lists for the day or days we have left, we must live today to the fullest, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after, just as long as we have breath. Amen.